Hello and welcome to the transcription explanation of these designs. I am Annie, or the scribe at Sirkles Studio, and I definitely know what I'm talking about when it's regarding Circular Gallifreyan. I have been involved with the script since its creation in 2012 with my friend Lauren Sherman. I'm listed on Lauren's original website, shermansplanet.com /Gallifreyan, multiple times for the numbers guide, the tutorials, and the writing kit, and just my own transcriptions are listed there. And if you're going to get a design through Sherman's site, it's actually going to be one of my designs because Lauren has graduated beyond Gallifreyan things and is like got a real adult job. Unlike me, I draw circles full time. I guess that's another thing. I am the only full-time Gallifreyan scribe in the world, to my knowledge, and I know the community pretty darn well. I can recognize the handwriting of most any scribe that does any real commission work. I've done well over 1,000 tattoo designs. My portfolio is massive, and I started doing video explanations of the designs in 2020, so you can see those in my YouTube, which this is part of. You can see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of design explanations for everything in this script that I have done. And then number 3, Doctor Who.tv. So I have been consulting the brand director for Doctor Who, Vanessa. There's unfortunately no evidence I can provide that because I'm not going to send you email like pictures, but I've been talking to Vanessa, so is Lauren, now that the script is official. And if you want to follow the own click link chain, you can do that yourself. So number 5 is you can test this yourself. Go to doctorwho.tv and go to the Gallifreyan translator. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this over here. So you can go to www.doctorwho.tv /Gallifreyan-translator, and you'll see the Gallifreyan translator that's official because it's on doctorwho.tv, and you can scroll down that and you can see the little click here button about how the script was made and the inspiration behind it. And if you click that, it'll talk about how the app developer and his daughter, It's a Really Wholesome Story, got it from Sherman's Planet, and is Sherman's script. Lauren Sherman, it is the same script, so then you can go to that shermansplanet.com /Gallifreyan, and then you'll see me everywhere. Yippee. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get to how this works and how the script works. So, both of these designs say doctor. In apps, they tend to algorithmically split everything apart. We can see that there's 4 main letter stems. This is in 4 equal parts, where this is in 3 main letter stems. So it's in 3 equal parts. Same thing for that, same thing for that, same thing for that, same thing for that. 4, this one's in 2, this one's in 2, and this one's in 2. So you get a lot of sameness as you take the number of letter stems and you split it up among the area of the circle, I guess. Whereas in my designs, these ones that I've drawn, I have a lot more organic of a feel for a lot of them. I mean, some of them are perfectly symmetric when I decided to do that, but it's a lot more artsy, a lot more flowy, and you get a lot more different looking designs that don't have a sort of samey feel. And that's one of the biggest differences between app generated and human generated, particularly me, because I'm quite fluent in a bunch of different styles. My handwriting is diverse. But let's talk about the nature of the script. The reason why you can get such different looking designs with the same script is because the script isn't directly an A always looks like this and a B always looks like this. It uses the grid. You see how above me there's a little grid? And the consonants, they're in the grid part. And the vowels, they're in the part, if you look down. Okay, so I can't directly point. Maybe I'll do some post. I never do post. I'm not going to do post. So if you look at the row, the different rows, at the very bottom of the different rows, you'll see a bunch of little circles that have the vowels by them. And the vowels have 3 different positions. There's the central position, the E position, and the E position is either on the line of the word circle, like this one here. This is an E on the line of our word circle, or it's centered inside a consonant. So this consonant stem, we have our E in the center of that. So this is the center position. Here's another one in the center position, center position. This one is not in the center position. You see how this one crosses the line? It's internal. It's in the internal or the O position. Here's center position, center position. All of these are E's. All of these, well, they're in the center position. And then we have the internal position, which I kind of talked about a little bit, but the internal position is not centered on the line of the word circle. It is internal, so it's inside our word circle, or it's internal and on the line of the consonant stem. Those are a lot of big words. Consonants, the grid. Stem, the row of that grid. This consonant stem is a shallow divot, and the vowel on it is an O because it's internal. This one is internal. It's crossing the line of the consonant stem. Internal, internal. And then last but not least, there's external. So you see how this one is outside of our word circle? That is external. It's an A. A's are the only ones that are external. So I've talked about internal, centered, and external. Internal meaning O's, external meaning A's, centered meaning E's, I's, and U's. And an I has a line going inwards. It's in that center position, and it has a line going inwards. And then a U, there is no U's in any of these example words, but it would be like an I, like this one, both a line going outwards, so it radiates away from the center of the word circle. So that's the vowels. And then consonants, they're made with different combinations of that letter stem, so the different rows, and then either dots attached to them or lines attached to them. So this here is a deep divot, like a horseshoe. And this deep divot means it's in the top row. And then it has 1, 2, 3 dots. So that means it's in the 3-dot column and is therefore the letter D. So that's a D. Yippee. Similarly, this is another deep divot with 1, 2, 3 dots and is a D. So we can have a D look both like this and like this. It's fine. We've got 3 dots and a deep divot. And then the R also has 3 dots. 1, 2, 3 dots. 1, 2, 3 dots. And an R is in the shallow divot row. So instead of the top column, it's the top row, it's in the 3rd row. So 3 dots on a shallow divot is an R. Yippee. Now we have a shallow divot with 1 line on it, and that's a V. Shallow divot, 1 line on it, and that's a V. They're like, but how do you tell the reading order? Start at the bottom, you go counterclockwise, like a time traveler going back in time. And then letter stacking gets complicated. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this. This is one of my gripes I have about the translator app. You read thin to thick. Can you tell which of these is thicker? Because I can't tell which of these is thicker until I zoom in this far. And that's because this is like 1 point thicker than that one. So this is the thin one and is the V. This one is like 2 points of thickness and has 3 dots as the R. So V and then R. And then consonants are read before vowels. And this is the O because it's a vowel. You read consonants, so the V and then the R before the O. Now, here's my VRO stack. We have the V, obviously thinner. This is much thinner than the R. V, thin, 1 line. R, thick, 3 dots. Then the O, crossing. So that's a VRO stack. That also happens, again, there's another letter stack here on the S and the T. This is the S with 1, 2, 3 lines on a shallow divot. This is the T, it's a shallow divot that's thicker with no modifiers. Again, can you tell which of these is thicker? Because I barely can. But there's still 3 lines on this S, and then this T is thicker. So it is still technically correct, which is the best kind of correct. So that's letter stacking. That's annoying. Then there is the S swaps, well, the C swaps. So you'll notice I spell Sirkles like Sirkles, and that's how you'd spell circles in Sirkles. So let's look at silence. Yippee, silence. This C goes S, so you turn it to an S. That's why this goes S-I-L-E-N-S-E, silence, with the S. So this doesn't actually translate to silence with a C, it's silence with an S. And that is because in the original script there was no letter C at all, period. You couldn't write the letter C. This app kept that traditional thing, yippee, so I'm kind of glad that it's still Sirkles. S-I-R-K-L-E-S is how you'd spell Sirkles. And you can test this in the app. You can type in S-I-R-K-L-E-S and C-I-R-C-L-E-S, and it will look the same in the app because it will swap the C to an S or a K, depending on the sound that the C makes. Or a CH. There's also CH sounds. But yeah, so S-I... L with 3 dots, E centered, N 1 line, S-E. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and read through all of these designs. Just real quick, just talking about the letter stem, the number of modifiers, and the vowel in its position. So this is a deep divot 3-dot D with our O internal, K with 2 dots. So here's an example of that C swap. It's a K instead of a C because it goes K. And then a T, shallow divot, no mods. O is internal, R, shallow divot, 3 dots. So that's doctor. Another D, deep divot 3 dots, O, internal, K, 2 dots, T, O, internal, and then the R with 3 dots. So it is the same word, same combination of elements. Master, we have an M, a full circle with 3 lines, full circle 3 lines, A, external, S, 3 lines on a shallow divot, S, 3 lines on a shallow divot, T, shallow divot, no mods, E is centered, so this is centered on the word circle, or it's centered on the consonant stack, and then we have the R with 3 dots. That's both masters. Here's both Daleks. We have a deep divot, D with 3 dots, deep divot 3 dots, A outside the word circle, A outside the word circle, L 3 dots, E centered, L 3 dots, E centered, K 2 dots, both floating stems, so they're in the second row. And then we have a river. I had a little bit of fun with this one, and I made my lines curvy. You can do that. So, R is a shallow divot with 3 dots, shallow divot, 3 dots, I, line going inwards, I, line going inwards. Lines passing through letter stems do not count, they only count when they end on letter stems. The V is a shallow divot 1 line, shallow divot 1 line, E centered, R, shallow divot 3 dots, shallow divot 3 dots. And then we have, we already did Dalek. Let's do Amy. A, external outside the word circle, A, external outside the word circle. 1, 2, 3 lines on the M, floating circle. 3 lines on the M there, and then a Y is a crossing circle, so it's in the bottom row. And it has 2 dots, 1, 2, and 2 dots, 1, 2. Here's Davros, deep divot 3 dots, deep divot 3 dots. A, external, the V, shallow divot with 1 line, the R, shallow divot 3 dots, V, 1 line, R, 3 dots, O, both O's are internal. And then the S has 1, 2, 3 lines. So there's Davros. I gotta love the VRO stack. VRO stack. Oh, hey, we're getting there. We're like more than halfway there. We're halfway there. I don't know. Silence. We have a shallow divot with 3 lines, a shallow divot with 1, 2, 3 lines. See these curvy boys? They count. They work 1, 2, 3 lines. I line going inwards, I line going inwards. L 1, 2, 3 dots on a full circle, L 3 dots on a full floating circle. E internal, N 1 line, N 1 line attached there. S 1, 2, 3 lines on a shallow divot, 1, 2, 3 lines on a shallow divot. S, E, E, both centered. So that's silence. Then we have Donna. So D, 3 dots on a deep divot, 3 dots on a deep divot. O, internal, and then we have a double letter. So unlike letter stacks that are 2 different letters, these ones are the same thickness. Again, yippee, you can tell that they're the same thickness here, just like you can tell so much that they're different thicknesses on the different thickness letter stacks. I have opinions about apps. Anyway, but these are the same thickness, so it works. So these are both the same letter because it's the same thickness, so you don't need to put 2 lines on the double N. You only need 1 line indicating that this double letter is an N. So here's our double N in this one, and then our A is outside the word circle. So I did these two quite similarly. I pretty much just moved the 3 dots in the line, just because I liked kind of how that looked. I thought it looked good. I also moved this inside a little more, because this is starting to look like one of those deep divots. If this was erased here, be a problem. Oh, that's another way this app can break. If you stack more than 2 letters on a floating circle, it becomes a crossing circle and is a problem. Okay, but that's Donna, and we've done silence already. Let's read Rose. We have a shallow divot with 1, 2, 3 dots, shallow divot 3 dots, O floating, O is inside our word circle, so it's an internal vowel. And then we have 3 lines, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 on the S, and then the E is centered. So that's Rose and Rose. And then last but not least, we have Ood, a double O, and then a deep divot with 3 dots for the D. Yippee. I don't like how this is so thin and so back. You should make the smaller words more condensed. But yeah, so that is Ood, and that is Ood. But yeah, that is that. I have one final part of this video, which is to discuss this atrocity, this sin to Gallifreyan. It hurts my soul to look at a little bit. Okay, so, well, something that they did nicely here is they made them actually visible to scale. So, the app does not make things that are very easy to read, except for zoomed in really, really far. So you can't barely read the stuff from the translator app this far away. You can't see the dots and lines. You have to be, like, at least this close, I think. Whereas, mine, I designed them to be read at this scale, so you can very clearly see the number of dots, the number of lines, the letter stacks, whatever. These, you can at least very clearly see what's going on. Just what's going on is wrong. So we have a deep, this is a, okay. This does not say doctor. For some reason, the D on most of these designs is a NG. It's a crossing circle. It's a circle that crosses the line of our word circle with 3 lines on it. Why is it at that? I don't know. Because it is. that's what's used every time for a D. So that's at least consistently wrong, I guess. So every time there's a D, it's an NG instead because reason. I don't know. So it's an NG, and then it's the E because it's centered inside that NG. It's not crossing like it should be. It's not internal like the O should be. I don't know. I think it gets confused any time the vowels are like attached to something. Like it's trying to be internal. You see that little line there? It really wants to cross that line. Like that would be an E if it were inside that little like crossing thing. But no, an E is anywhere inside this space. It has to be on the consonant stem to be an O. But I can see what they're going. At least consistently wrong. Apps tend to be consistently wrong. So that's an E. So anytime there's an O attached to a consonant, it's actually an E. So we get lots of E's instead of O's. I have no idea what they were going with this TH. I don't know. Maybe it just can't do deep divots? It does shallow divots, but there's not a single deep divot. All deep divots are wrong. All deep divots are, I think, bottom crossing stems, but there's no modifiers, there's no dots. That's just TH. T, shallow divot, no mods. E, R, 3 dots. So, R's right. Good job. They got one. Yippee. So, okay, as far as consistently wrong, why is this R not got 3 dots like this R? It should have 3 dots. If we're doing things consistently wrong, this R in river, this R in doctor, and it should have an R in master, just like it has in Davros, but no. And even Rose. This one, they might have just even typed it in wrong on their app and put a T instead of an R. I don't know. But we have the M right, the A right, the S right, the T, E. Then they just had to make a mistake. They had to make everything make a mistake. So they had to erase the R, I guess. So, yeah. R, I, V. Really close. Really close to an E. If it was a T, E, like this, if it was a shallow divot E like this, it'd be right. But no, it's outside the circle, so that's an A. So then there's the R. And here's another not D, the NG instead of a D. A. Where's the there's an L there, there's an I there. There's no L here. The L should be there and then that should be a K. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Here's an O M when we decided to put 2 lines on nothing. I don't know. I don't know. V R A S uh, G double N A. Like if it were all wrong all the time, I would assume it's a different script or just following entirely different rules. But there's that double N A. That's a double N A. There's a double N A in Donna. Like, but then there's this, and then S I. Well, I guess the L is done the same way. It's done as an I, and L is an I. I don't know. Very small N because reasons, and then a THE instead of an SE. But you did the S right there. I don't know, and then RESE, and then I don't know what happened here. I guess that's the wrong D. Maybe that was an attempt at a double O. I don't know, but yeah, this is not right. Is the moral of the story. That's that. Yippee. These are more right, but they look like trash, in my humble opinion. At least they're more right. You just gotta have to, zoom in this far to tell that those lines are different thicknesses. I might be biased, but I think my designs are the best. But I've also been doing this, like, as my job for years. So, yeah. Cool. That's an ending, I guess. That's an ending to this glorious video. I'm gonna eventually put this video link right there. So, yeah. Yep. Gallifreyan, let's go. Yippee Sirkles. Bye.